Why are we always looking to escape? Us in the West especially are always looking to escape, whether it's physically going on vacations, distracting ourselves with different exercises, different entertainment, or whether it's mental, again, distraction, or substance use, or just dulling ourselves down so that we do not pay attention to the living situation or where we are at the moment. Anything to escape being in the moment. Why is that? I'm going to use last week's language and try to use this kind of gamified language and say that we are always looking to level up. We are always looking for the next step. So now I can also say that we are temporal creatures, which means that we like to place ourselves, our thinking mind, in a different time. So in the past, what would we do if we went into the past? Oh, that we'd change this one thing and that would open up other things, and it feeds our imagination very, very well, because there's just, you change one thing and then the possibilities of what could happen open up quite drastically. And our mind, our imagination loves possibilities because it's built to explore possibility. It's a prediction machine. That's its function, is to think about stuff in advance so that we can anticipate and we can self-correct. As Peterson says, we think so that our thoughts can die instead of us. So our imagination, our mind, our busy monkey mind, as the East would say, loves this temporal nature, loves this ambition and this drive of, like, if I went back in time, I could change. If I go forward in time, like, I can't wait to get to the point where I am, all of this stuff, anything but sitting with where we are and who we are. Because we want to level up. We do not, there's some part of us that feels very irritable at the idea of being stagnant, of just maintaining. This is why, just politically and culturally, all of the maintenance jobs, all of the homekeeping jobs, all of the culture keeping and the community keeping jobs have been capitalized, monetized, and very much are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to what is financially valuable. These things that simply hold the family together, not that important. We prioritize, in our culture in the West, we prioritize the money-getting behaviours and the money allocated to having family dinner together, having a community dinner together, having community dances, having things, anything that brings us in together is just very low on the monetary stack. So, you might feel this, that we're very much at this nexus point, we're very much in this in-between point when we discuss this idea between the West and the East. Because the East will say, the Buddhists will say, that all this change, that life itself is suffering. That's the famous quote. And it's suffering because everything changes, everything moves. Everything's a yin-yang symbol. So there's nothing permanent. And therefore, we are always kind of let down. We are always hoping for something and then disappointed. We are always doing that, and it's like a whip that we lash ourselves with. And we should stop. And we should learn to sit with ourselves for a while at least. And there is wisdom in that. But we don't necessarily want to demonize. We have to recognize our own culture, our own viewpoint on this, the Western culture on this, is that hope is the redemptive story. That hope is the thing that lifts you back up. When defeated, hope is the thing that rises. So we have this very famous story of Pandora's box. And Pandora opens the box and all the evil comes out. And the last thing left in the box is hope. And this is very famous. Simply the stories and myths around this are massive, and they've been used in many TV shows you might have watched. But that fact that hope was the last thing in the box is an interesting point, and has been explored quite a lot, because it poses the question, was hope the most evil thing in the box and she was able to close it before it got out? Or was hope the redemption that would cure or make tolerable all the evil that did come out. So do we dare hope? So we can't sit with ourselves. That is a painful realization. The fact that we will never really be able to sit with ourselves, no matter how famous, no matter how wealthy, no matter how secure or how much social reputation we have or how much power we have, it doesn't necessarily matter once you get above a certain threshold. The question is, how do we then sit into that tension? Not into a space, not into a seat, not into a place of comfort, but how do we sit into the tension of having ambition and drive and having a nature that wants to predict the future, wants to make a difference to the future, and wants to explore the potential of what that might look like, could look like, what our place in the world could be, and how we can try to actualize that. Very important. If our brain only lives in the potential and never reduces it down to an actuality, then that is simply fantasy. It has to be like, so we want all of this potential, yes, but we at some point want to limit all of that potential into a discipline, into mastery of something, into some sort of hobby, some sort of skill, something. And then on the other side is, can we let that go? Can we listen to the voice, let that machine run, and when needs be, as we need and as we befriend ourselves, as we really kind of learn to sit with ourselves more and more, can we allow that to be a separate, or can we allow that to be, can we identify as something other than that? Instead of like identifying with, I could be this, I could be that, I've done all of these things in the past, and like if only my past was different, then I could be something else, and I could be, I am, and all of these I's. And can we try to identify with just not necessarily an eye, but just like the watching eye, the viewing eye, the witness? Can we sit into that and just witness our breath? Just witness what it is to be alive in this moment. Just witness what it is to feel, to be embodied in this body at the moment. What it is to have this breath that we have at the moment. What it is to have these thoughts but not be these thoughts. So that requires meditation. The ambition side requires some sort of contemplation. Now, obviously, Christian, it's prayer, but some sort of contemplative practice. So the question is, can we sit in that tension? John Vervaeke argues that this is something of a Silk Road, that there is a road joining these two, and you cannot live on the Silk Road, but the Silk Road is always open to you to explore. Meaning that your local community, your local kind of home point will err on one side or the other. And it is then your mission, your adventure in life to adventure into the other side and bring back the gold. To adventure in and learn and grow and be stretched and get more tension points that stretch you in all these different ways, so you are a more full experience, or you're a more full being, or more full character. I say this so that we can kind of reflect on what this channel is called, like choose your chaos. There is no sitting point, there is no kind of safe point. It is just navigating tension all the way. And can we find comfort in some acknowledgement of that process, so that it's all a process and it's never a destination. So I say all of this just to explore the idea. Now, this is very much on the philosophical side. This is very much on the theology side even. but it is missing like a key component as to why we're all trying to escape just as much as we're trying to escape at the moment. And that is very obviously because we are hijacking our brains and our chemistry. We are giving ourselves cheap dopamine, but not good dopamine. We are giving ourselves cheap serotonin, not good serotonin. We are totally ignoring oxytocin and not getting very much any of that. And then our endorphins. If you have those 4 chemicals, you are some bit of a well-rounded person. Now, you will still want to escape the moment. You will still want to escape yourself. You will still want to transcend and level up. You will still want to be something more than. You will still want to explore the potential of what that more than could be. So it's still very difficult to sit with ourselves. I'm not saying anything, I'm not trying to give this a quick fix, and I'm not trying to blame it on the modern predicament. I'm trying to say that this is an eternal predicament that we are always in, but our modern layer on top of it is very particularly pernicious. And it is... We're doing a bad job of navigating this chemical embodiment that we have. So I want to give you on this philosophical front so that you know the grounding of it, and then as you do play around with, like, trying to get your dopamine to a point where you can find motivation again. Trying to get your oxytocin to a point where it draws you into community and draws you into, shared space and stuff like that. All of these things are very important for another video. For today, it is simply to say that we cannot sit with ourselves. That is not your fault. That is part of the human condition. It's a tension point. But in tension, on a guitar, any stringed instrument, tension is the thing that lets you play music. If you're using percussions, any sort of drum skin, again, tension is what allows you to play music. So let us play music. Let us have a home on one side or the other. Let us have some form of Silk Road where we can travel across. And there's many ideas for that, how to travel across, and many practices. Again, the ecology of practices. It is not down to one practice, it is down to a network that holds you in a certain way. I believe that's the world to come, and we're all going to try and navigate this all together and also within our own communities. It's going to be a very interesting time in history. So, with all of that said, I hope you've had a good week. I hope you're looking forward to the week to come, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.